Hello students, once again I welcome you all in this new video for class 10th. In the previous video we were discussing about the nutrition process and the two types of mode of nutrition, that is autotrophic and heterotrophic mode of nutrition in all living beings, on the basis of whether they are going to provide nutrition by themselves or they are dependent on the other living organisms. In that video also we have discussed that in this chapter we have to discuss about the photosynthesis process and holozoic mode of nutrition in human beings and in amoeba. So today we are going to discuss about the photosynthesis process and nutrition process in amoeba. So let's start today's discussion, today's topic, with the process that is known as photosynthesis. So as we have discussed there also that photo means what? Photo means light and synthesis means putting together or to synthesize something or to create something. So it is a process which is represented by especially green plants and blue-green algae, where they are having a specific pigment that is known as chlorophyll, and with the help of this pigment chlorophyll they are going to prepare or synthesize their own food with the help of inorganic substances in their surrounding, and finally with the help of these inorganic substances they are going to create organic substances in the form of food. So it is a process where organisms prepare their organic food with the help of inorganic substances in their surrounding. So when we are going to see what are these organisms, so the organisms which are representing this process is what? Two types. And what are they? All green plants along with blue-green algae, and since they are going to prepare their food by themselves only, so they are also known as what? Autotrophs, or since the heterotrophs are going to get their food from these autotrophs, so they are also known as what? Producers. So autotroph or producers. And why they are capable to synthesize their organic food material with the inorganic substances? Just because the presence of a specific pigment in them, and that is what? That is chlorophyll. So when we talk about the inorganic substances, the raw material for the photosynthesis process, so inorganic raw material, that is what? Carbon dioxide gas and water. So when we talk about how the plants are going to get all these things, so carbon dioxide gas is mainly absorbed from the leaves, and in leaves where stomata, because you know stomata are the small pores through which the air, means the oxygen or carbon dioxide gases, can be absorbed and can be released also. And when we talk about the stems, the lenticels are present there, which are going to allow the exchange of gases in plants, and this water is absorbed through the roots and transported through a vessel that is known as what? Xylem vessel, and it is carried up to the leaves. Because when we talk about the site of photosynthesis, so it is what? It is actually the green part of plant, especially leaves. So now we will see what are the requirements of photosynthesis. So when we talk about the requirements for photosynthesis, so as we know that photo means what? Light. It means this process can be conducted only in the presence of sunlight, and since the presence of this pigment chlorophyll is necessary, it means it's also the requirement. So sunlight, chlorophyll. When we talk about the raw materials which are used during this process, that are what? Carbon dioxide and water. So these will be also the requirement, water and carbon dioxide gas. So these are the requirements for photosynthesis. Until and unless these requirements are going to fulfill, the plants will not be able to perform this photosynthesis process. And there is 2 experiments given in your NCERT book that to demonstrate carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis process, and the presence of chlorophyll is also very essential for the conduction of this process. So these 2 experiments are very important for the point of view of your CBSE board examination. So you have to prepare these 2 experiments, because these experiments are frequently asked in the examination for the long answer type question, 5 marks questions. So these are the requirements for photosynthesis, and now we will see what are the events during this photosynthesis process. So during this photosynthesis process, what are the events that are going to happen or occur during this process? The first one is what? Absorption of sunlight. This is the first event, first step that is going to happen in when we talk about the chlorophyll. So this process is happening there. And the second step is what? After the absorption of sunlight, since this process is converting or changing the solar energy in the chemical energy, so the next step will be what? Conversion of solar energy into chemical energy. And while this solar energy will be converted into chemical energy, one more process will take place there, that is what? Splitting of water molecule that was absorbed during this process. So since the water is made up of what? It is a compound of hydrogen and oxygen. So hydrogen and oxygen will be what? It will be split, it will be broken down in the presence of the solar energy, which will be finally converted into chemical energy. And the last step is what? Now the carbon dioxide gas, this will be reduction of carbon dioxide gas into carbohydrate, means now the formation of glucose will take place. So this is what photosynthesis process. It is a process where organisms, mainly what, green plants and blue-green algae, they are going to synthesize their organic food with the help of inorganic substances, and these inorganic substances are what? Carbon dioxide gas and water. This water is absorbed from soil with the help of root, and it is transported up to the leaves with the help of xylem vessel, because leaves or the green parts are the sites for photosynthesis process, and this carbon dioxide gas is absorbed mainly through the stomatal pore that are present in the leaves, because leaves are the sites for the photosynthesis process. When we talk about the requirements of photosynthesis, there must be the presence of sunlight, chlorophyll and water and carbon dioxide gas. Now when we talk about what is happening during this process, so these three events are going to take place. The first one is what? Absorption of sunlight. First of all, the sunlight will be absorbed by chlorophyll. Then in chlorophyll again, conversion of solar energy into chemical energy, and meanwhile the water molecule will be broken down into hydrogen and oxygen atoms, and finally the reduction of carbon dioxide gas into carbohydrate, and finally glucose will be formed. So when we talk about the equation of photosynthesis, what is happening? The chemical equation of photosynthesis, will be represented like in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, and finally we will get here what? C6H12O6, that is what? Glucose. Now then oxygen and water molecule will be released also during this process. So this is what the equation of photosynthesis, where you know these are what? Carbon dioxide and water is what? Inorganic substances, and this is what? Glucose. Glucose is what? Organic food in plants. So now we will discuss what are the two phases of photosynthesis, its significance for all living beings. So now we will see what are the two phases in photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is performed in two phases. The first one is known as light phase, and the other one is known as dark phase. From the name itself you can get an idea that in the light phase there is a compulsion of sunlight. It means this phase can be performed only during the presence of sunlight, and that's why it is also known as what? Light dependent phase or reaction. The other one is what? Dark phase. It means no need of sunlight to conduct this phase, and that's why it is known as what? Light independent phase or reaction, because during both of these phases though some chemical changes are going to take place, as you have studied there the two events during the light phase. during the light phase, what is happening there? The first event, that is what? Absorption of sunlight, and the second one is what? Conversion of sunlight, solar energy, conversion of solar energy, as well as splitting of water molecule. So these two events is considered as what? Light phase, and these two events can be happen only during the presence of sunlight. So these two events are what? Light dependent reaction. When we talk about the dark phase, it is what? The last event of photosynthesis process, that is what? Reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrate. So, as you know that the plants are having what? Chloroplast in them, and if we are going to make the structure of chloroplast, then you know some coin-like structures are present there in chloroplast, which are known as what? These coin-like structures are known as thylakoid, because these are the piles of small coin-like structure, and a single structure is known as what? Granum. So this is what? The fluid part of the chloroplast, that is known as what? Stroma. Means it is what? The matrix of chloroplast, and this one is what? Whole chloroplast structure. So when we talk about the light phase, it is happening where? In the light phase is happening in grana of chloroplast, means inside these granum. And when we consider about the dark phase, it is happening where? The dark phase is happening in the matrix of chloroplast, that is known as stroma. So this was all about the photosynthesis process, means light phase and dark phase. Light phase requires the presence of sunlight, and it is happening in the granum of chloroplast. And this dark phase, where reduction of carbon dioxide is going to take place and the formation of glucose, that is happening where? In a stroma of chloroplast. Now we will discuss about the significance of photosynthesis process. What is its importance? What is the importance of this process? The first one is what? It is providing organic food to each and every living being, whether they are heterotroph, because they are also dependent on what? Producers, means these autotroph. And when we talk about the level of carbon dioxide gas, so this also maintains the level of oxygen and carbon dioxide gases in atmosphere, and this only process is enabling the conversion of solar energy into chemical energy. Solar energy is used through this process. So the solar energy is going to transfer in the chemical form from one life form to another life form with the help of this process. And what are the factors that can influence this process? So the factors which are going to affect this photosynthesis process, that are what? Definitely the requirements of photosynthesis, means the amount of chlorophyll in leaves. If the chlorophyll is present there in enormous number, it means what? The rate of photosynthesis will be high, and if the chlorophyll will be less in number, it means the rate of photosynthesis will decrease. When we consider about the sunlight, so at high intensity, when the sunlight is going to intense, the rate of photosynthesis will also decrease, but initially with the increase in the intensity of sunlight, the rate of photosynthesis will increase. But if the intensity will be more, it means what? The rate of photosynthesis will decrease. When we talk about the concentration or the amount of carbon dioxide gas, since carbon dioxide gas is not it's harmful for all life forms, so initially when the CO2 will be present in the sufficient amount, the rate will increase the photosynthesis process. But if the concentration of CO2 will be more in number in the atmosphere, that will be harmful for plants too, and the rate of photosynthesis will also decrease. So one more thing is there, that is what? Amount of water. So sufficient amount of water will also be a factor that is going to influence the rate of photosynthesis. So now we are going to discuss what are the questions that can be asked in your CBSE examination from this topic, and what are the topics that you have to prepare well while preparation of this nutrition process. So the first thing that is asked in your CBSE board examination is what? The mode of autotrophic nutrition, or what do you mean by autotroph? So you know autotrophic mode of nutrition is a mode of nutrition where organisms are capable to provide nutrition by themselves. They are not dependent on each other or other animals or organisms, not animals, organisms. So that's why they are known as what? Autotrophs. And it is also asked in the examination why green plants are known as producers. So 1 mark question or objective type questions. This question is asked, what do you mean by autotrophic nutrition or autotroph or producers? The second one is what? The very important question, that is the equation of photosynthesis, the reaction chemical equation of photosynthesis. It is also asked frequently in the examination, that provide the chemical equation occurring during the photosynthesis process. Then you know carbon dioxide plus water, and in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, it is going to provide us glucose, and the release of water and oxygen will take place there. Then the third one is what? Events of photosynthesis. That is again very important. What are the 3 events during the process of photosynthesis? It's also asked in the examination. The first one is what? Absorption of sunlight. The second one is conversion of solar energy and splitting of water molecule. And also the third one is what? Reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrate. This splitting of water molecule, remember always that if the question is going to ask you where from the oxygen gas is released during the process of photosynthesis, from carbon dioxide gas or from water, so you have to remember always that we are going to take, or the oxygen is released during the process of photosynthesis from the water molecule, not from the carbon dioxide gas molecule. So again, when we talk about the importance of topics here, so 2 things are given there, 2 experiments that are very essential, very important to demonstrate what is the importance of chlorophyll. And in that experiment you have to very aware about to write something, that is what? Variegated leaf. Actually variegated leaf is what? The leaf that is having more than 1 color, means that will be green due to the patches present on the chlorophyll on the leaf. For that process, for that experiment, we have to take the croton leaves, so that the patches of chlorophyll, because it is not present all over the part of the leaf, it is present at some places, and that's why during this experiment where we are going to show or demonstrate that chlorophyll is very essential, we are going to take such type of plant where we can see more than 1 color in the leaf. One more important thing is there, to demonstrate that carbon dioxide is very essential for the conduction of photosynthesis process. And you know, for this experiment we are going to take potassium hydroxide, and this potassium hydroxide is going to absorb carbon dioxide gas, so that the plant is not going to absorb this CO2 gas, and that's why the leaf or the part, it is given in your book also, this experiment, and it can be also asked there, what is the importance of taking potassium hydroxide during the demonstration of carbon dioxide is necessary for the conduction of photosynthesis process. So you know this potassium hydroxide is going to absorb carbon dioxide gas from the surrounding of the plant, and that's why potassium hydroxide is going to take place there in the glass jar or a beaker where the plant part is placed closely. Now the next one is what also asked, what are the phases, the dark phase and light phase. So light phase is going to happen in grana and dark phase is going to happen in stroma. So a lot of questions can be asked from this topic. You have to prepare well so that you can obtain good marks. So prepare it, make the notes and prepare all the questions also. So we will see in the next video what are the nutrition, holozoic mode of nutrition processes in humans as well as amoeba. So till then we are going to meet in the next video. Take care of yourself, be safe and keep studying.